It began with silence. The kind of silence that fills the air before history changes. Cameras stood ready, flags waved in the wind, and millions waited across the world. Then, without warning, the doors opened, and there she was. Princess Leonor of Spain, radiant, graceful, and calm. And beside her, Prince Christian of Denmark, steady and composed. What no one expected was what happened next. The fans' reaction, raw and unfiltered, captured live across every corner of the world. Spain and Denmark didn't just witness a royal wedding. They witnessed emotion, pure, human, and unforgettable. The morning light bathed Madrid in gold. Crowds gathered long before dawn, their voices humming with anticipation. Some came with flags, others with tears already in their eyes. It wasn't just another royal ceremony, it was the moment two nations had waited for, the moment two future monarchs turned love into legacy. From the first camera flash, the energy was electric. The cathedral steps glimmered under sunlight as the royal cars arrived one by one. Spain's royal family stepped out first, King Felipe and Queen Letizia, dignified and proud, their eyes filled with emotion. Then came the Danish royals, Queen Mary, Crown Prince Frederik, their son, the groom himself. Every camera pointed toward the entrance. Every heart raced. When the bells rang, time seemed to stop. And then it happened. The doors of Almedina Cathedral opened. Princess Leonor appeared in a gown of ivory silk, embroidered with Spanish olive leaves and Danish lilies, a symbol of unity. Her veil shimmered, her steps steady, her face serene. The fans couldn't contain it. Gasps echoed. Cries broke through the crowd. Phones shot up. Tears rolled freely. The sound was overwhelming: cheers, applause, sobs, joy. For many, it wasn't just watching a princess marry, it was watching a piece of history unfold before their eyes. Inside the cathedral, Prince Christian stood tall. His gaze met hers, and in that instant, all protocol vanished. It was no longer about crowns or titles, it was about love. As she reached the altar, he whispered something, too soft for cameras to catch, but enough to make her smile. The smile that broke the world. The ceremony began, blending Spanish and Danish tradition. Hymns echoed through the grand arches, alternating between languages. Every vow carried weight. Every look carried meaning. When Leonor said, "I give you my heart, my loyalty, and my truth," the crowd outside erupted again, unable to stay silent. Even those who had doubted their love, who thought this union was just diplomacy, were silenced by the sincerity in her voice. Cameras zoomed in on the faces of the royal families. Queen Letizia blinked back tears. King Felipe looked proud yet deeply emotional, his eyes glistening as he watched his daughter, Spain's future queen, step into a new life. And in the Danish section, Queen Mary clutched her husband's hand, her smile trembling with emotion. She had watched her son grow into a man, now standing beside a young woman who would one day rule a kingdom. The fans outside were watching it all unfold live, on screens, phones, and giant public broadcasts. Some sang softly. Others held up signs. Love wins, Spain and Denmark forever, Nuestra Reina del Corazon. As the bishop pronounced them husband and wife, the cathedral bells roared across the city. And when Leonor and Christian kissed, the crowd's reaction was beyond words. The cheering didn't stop for minutes. Flags waved, confetti filled the air, and even reporters struggled to hold back emotion. People hugged strangers. Children waved handmade flags. Elderly fans who had followed Leonor since she was a child wept openly. And in that moment, something magical happened. This wasn't just a royal wedding, it was unity. It was hope. It was proof that love could bridge two nations and remind the world that even the most powerful titles mean nothing without the heart behind them. As the newlyweds exited the cathedral, sunlight poured down like a blessing. Christian offered his arm, and Leonor took it with quiet pride. They waved to the sea of people below. The roar of the crowd was deafening, 1 million voices shouting in joy. Everywhere, cameras captured moments that would replay for generations: the royal families standing together, the laughter between the two queens, the tears of the kings, the little princes and princesses watching in awe. And then, the fans did something no one expected. They began to sing. From one corner of the square, a voice started softly, singing, "Viva España," soon joined by hundreds, then thousands. Across the way, Danes responded with their own anthem. And as both melodies filled the air, they merged into one, two countries singing together for love. Reporters were stunned. Historians would later call it the sound of a united crown. After the ceremony, the royal procession moved slowly through the streets of Madrid. Leonor and Christian rode in an open carriage, smiling, waving, their eyes meeting with every shout from the crowd. Children tossed flowers. Bells rang in every parish. Even the Danish flag flew from Spanish balconies. Social media exploded. Within minutes, the wedding topped every trending chart. Millions of fans around the world tuned in. The most emotional royal wedding ever, headlines read. Leonor and Christian redefine monarchy. But behind the glamour, inside the palace, quiet emotion reigned. Queen Letizia reportedly whispered to Leonor, "You've done what no one could," brought joy to nations. King Felipe hugged his daughter tightly, telling her, "You are not just my daughter. You are my pride, my legacy." And on the other side, Queen Mary embraced Christian, her voice trembling, "You found your heart's match, my son." The official wedding banquet that evening was held at the Royal Palace of Madrid. The dining hall glowed in gold and candlelight. Every seat carried meaning, Spain's leaders beside Denmark's royals, diplomats beside friends, all gathered in harmony. When Leonor and Christian entered, the applause lasted for nearly 5 minutes. Even foreign dignitaries couldn't hide their smiles. It was a celebration of unity beyond politics or power. As speeches began, King Felipe stood, raising his glass. His voice echoed through the hall. "Tonight, Spain does not celebrate alone. Denmark celebrates with us. And in this love, our nations find a shared future." Queen Mary followed, her tone gentle yet proud. "Love is the truest diplomacy," she said. And today, we've seen it in its purest form. And then came the most emotional moment of the night, the first dance. The lights dimmed. A single spotlight illuminated the floor. A Spanish guitarist began to play softly, joined by a Danish violinist. The melody blended cultures beautifully. Leonor and Christian stepped forward. They didn't waltz with royal formality, they simply held each other close, swaying gently, their foreheads touching. The room was silent. Even the cameras hesitated to interrupt the purity of that moment. When the song ended, applause thundered. The world saw it live. And fans, watching from homes, plazas, and cafes, cried openly. The next morning, newspapers across Europe carried the same headline, "The royal wedding that united two nations." Spain called her, La Reina del Pueblo, the people's queen. Denmark called him, the King of Hearts. And the fans, they couldn't stop talking about it. Videos of their live reactions, tears, cheers, pure emotion, went viral. It wasn't the royal protocol that made them cry. It was the love, the truth, the authenticity of it all. Even weeks later, the world still felt it. The echo of that day, the harmony of those voices, the image of two young royals choosing each other over everything else. Princess Leonor and Prince Christian had done what no one thought possible. They turned a royal wedding into a global moment of unity, emotion, and hope. And somewhere in the quiet halls of the palace that night, as the lights dimmed and the world finally slept, Leonor whispered to Christian, "They didn't just see us, they felt us." He smiled and replied, "Because love speaks louder than any crown." And that, more than anything, was the truth the cameras captured, live, real, and unforgettable.